Hi Reddit. I'm Anna, 37, and apparently, owning my own house means nothing if my parents decide I don't deserve it just because I'm single and don't have kids. Let me explain. I bought my house 6 years ago, all by myself. No inheritance, no help, just years of saving, 2 jobs, and saying no to everything from vacations to takeout. It's not a mansion. It's a modest 3-bedroom on the edge of a quiet town, with a small garden and enough space for me and my 2 dogs. It's mine, and I'm proud of it. But last month, my younger brother Chris, golden child, married with 2 kids, part-time job, lives rent-free in my parents' basement, dropped a bomb at dinner. Mom and Dad think I should get a place soon. They were wondering if maybe you'd be open to sharing yours. I almost choked on my drink. Sharing. Yeah, like, you got all that space. And you don't really need it all. I looked at my parents, waiting for them to laugh or shut it down. They didn't. My mom nodded like it made perfect sense. You're always alone in that big house, Anna. And Chris has a growing family. So, you want me to give up my home? Because I'm not married. My dad cut in. We just think it's practical. You could move in with us, or even get a small apartment. This way, you both benefit. I sat there stunned, like I'd stepped into some alternate universe where being single was a moral failure. I bought that house. It's in my name. Why is this even a discussion? Chris shrugged. It's not like you'll need all that space forever. And that's when I realized it wasn't a casual suggestion. They'd already decided. 2 days later, my mom called to check in. What she actually meant was pressure me into changing my mind. You always said family comes first. You mean Chris's family, right? Don't be selfish, Anna. Selfish. Because I worked my ass off for something, and now I want to keep it. A week after that, I came home from work and found my mom in my house. She had a spare key for emergencies. This wasn't one. She was measuring the 3rd bedroom, just seeing if the crib will fit. I told her to get out. She looked at me like I was the crazy one. This isn't how family acts, Anna. No, it's how you act. The first thing I did after kicking my mom out? Change the locks. New deadbolts. New smart code system. Cameras at the front and back. She texted me an hour later. Did you lock me out of your own home? I didn't answer. Yes, Mom. Yes, I did. 2 days later, Chris showed up at my door. His wife and kids were waiting in the car. He knocked twice, then stood there like he owned the place. I opened the door halfway. What are you doing here? We're moving in. I laughed in his face. No, you're not. Mom said she talked to you. She broke into my house and tried to claim a room. I changed the locks. He blinked, confused. Why are you being like this? Like what? Protective of the only thing I've worked my entire life for. It's not like we're asking for the whole place. Just a room. Some help. Buy your own house, Chris. You know I can't. Then stay in the basement. He turned red. Angry now. You really think having a mortgage makes you better than everyone? No, but it definitely makes this mine. I shut the door in his face. Next day my dad called. No hello, no small talk. You're tearing this family apart. You're the ones trying to take something that doesn't belong to you. Chris has children, Anna. Real responsibilities. And I have a life. A job. Bills. And a mortgage none of you ever helped with. You're acting like this is about property. It's about family. Then stop treating me like a storage unit. Click. Later that week, my cousin texted me. Someone must have told her. Heard you're being territorial. Yikes. I sent back. Heard you're still renting at 35. Yikes. I was done playing polite. Then the worst part, my mom went online. She posted this long Facebook rant about how some people forget where they come from and how selfishness destroys families. People started commenting. You don't deserve that. So sorry you're going through this. Kids these days are so ungrateful. I didn't comment, but I wanted to. I'm not ungrateful. I'm just done being manipulated. I'm not selfish. I just finally learned to say no. Then a week later, I got a letter from a lawyer. Chris was trying to claim occupancy rights based on some twisted argument that he had a verbal agreement with my parents and they had partial financial interest. They didn't, but now he was trying to make it legal. The letter was short, cold, formal, and full of twisted phrasing. My client, Christopher, last name, asserts that he and his family were invited to cohabitate in the property located at. Cohabitate, like we were friends splitting rent. It went on to claim that because the family had contributed to household needs over the years, Chris had reasonable expectation of shared access or ownership. I slammed the paper down and laughed. Then I called a lawyer. Her name was Dana. Real estate attorney. No nonsense. And after one phone call, she said, "They're bluffing. But if we don't act, bluffing can become something bigger." We met the next day. I showed her everything. Deed, mortgage statements, texts, even the Facebook posts. She read it all without flinching. "Here's what we're going to do. You file a cease and desist for trespassing. Then we preemptively file proof of sole ownership with the county. What about the lawyer letter? We respond once, formally. Then we let them know, if they step foot on your property again, it's harassment. Can I sue them? Technically, yes, but let's win first. Emotionally, publicly." That night, I sat in my living room, lights off, dogs curled up next to me, and realized something I hadn't fully admitted yet. It wasn't just about the house. It was about control. For years, I'd been the reliable one, the one who never asked for anything, who went to family dinners, smiled through guilt trips, bought baby shower gifts, helped with moves. And now that I had one thing to myself, just one damn thing, they couldn't stand it. Because it meant I didn't need them, and they needed me to need them, so they could keep taking without asking. The next morning, Chris showed up again. I didn't answer the door. He banged, pounded. "You think you're going to win this? You think this little power trip makes you better?" I called Dana. She called the police. He was gone before they got there, but the report was filed. 2 days later, my mom called crying. "Chris is just stressed. They're under so much pressure. The kids need space. They can get space by renting a place. Like adults. You don't understand what it's like to be a parent. And you don't understand what it's like to have your entire family try to rob you with a smile. I just wish you weren't so cold. I was warm for 37 years. This is what protecting myself looks like." She hung up on me. For the first time in weeks, I smiled. 3 days later, Dana called me. "You're not going to like this." She forwarded an email. Court papers. Chris had officially filed for constructive co-ownership, some obscure housing claim that's barely ever used, usually by couples in long-term relationships, trying to divide assets after a breakup. Only he wasn't my ex. He was my brother, and we never lived together a single day in our adult lives. They're trying to argue you had a verbal agreement, and that the house was always intended to be shared, Dana explained. I couldn't believe it. That's a lie. Of course it is. But now it's a lie on record. So we respond. When I read the paperwork myself, that's when the real punch came. He claimed that my parents contributed financially to the down payment, that Chris provided labor during renovations, that I had agreed to let them move in after his second child was born. All false. Every word. No one helped me with the down payment. I took out a loan, drained my savings, and worked every weekend for months to make it work. As for labor, Chris once carried a box of paint inside because he happened to be visiting when I was redoing the guest room. And the last one, the verbal agreement, never happened. In fact, the first time he brought up living with me was literally last month. I called Dana again. "Can I sue for defamation?" "Fraud." "Not yet. But we'll refute every one of those points in writing. Start gathering proof, bank statements, emails, texts. Already on it." The next day, I emailed copies of my mortgage paperwork, loan approval, receipts, even timestamps from home improvement apps. And then I found it, a text from my mom from 6 years ago, just days after I bought the place. "Proud of you. Can't believe you did this all on your own." I forwarded it straight to Dana. "Keep that," she said. That one line proves their whole case is garbage. Meanwhile, my phone kept blowing up. Chris's wife left me a voicemail, something between crying and threatening. "You know what this is doing to our kids? Do you want to be the reason they don't have a home?" And my mom, she posted another Facebook status. This time, when people choose money over blood, they lose everything that really matters. Except I wasn't choosing money. I was choosing sanity, safety, boundaries. That night, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. It was from my uncle. "I heard what Chris is doing. Just so you know, not everyone in this family agrees with him." For the first time since this started, I felt a shift. Maybe I wasn't as alone as they made me feel. I didn't expect my uncle's text to mean anything. I figured it was a guilt text. Hey, don't hate us all, kind of gesture. But when I messaged him back and said, "Then why aren't you saying anything publicly?" He replied, "Because I know something you don't, and I shouldn't say it over text." We met for coffee the next day. Just the two of us. No cousins, no fake smiles. He sat down across from me and got straight to the point. Your parents aren't doing this just because Chris has kids. That's the excuse. Then what is it? He looked me in the eyes. They're in debt. I blinked. What? A lot of debt. They've been hiding it for years. Credit cards. A failed investment. They remortgaged their house 2 years ago, and it's barely holding. They were hoping Chris and his wife would move out soon, but that's not happening. So now, they're looking for your house as a fallback. I just stared at him. So this whole thing, trying to push me out, pretending it's for the kids, is because they need a backup plan? Exactly. And Chris knows. Of course he knows. He's banking on it. Literally. It hit me like a punch to the chest. They didn't just want to help my brother. They didn't just believe in sharing. They were treating me like a walking asset. Like my house was an ATM with a guest room. And the worst part? They never once told me the truth. Never said, hey, we're struggling. Never asked for help. They just planned around me, without me. I went home and sat in the living room for an hour, phone in hand, staring at my mom's number. Then I called. She picked up fast. Anna, you're in debt. Silence. Where did you hear that? Doesn't matter. It's not your business. It is when you're trying to steal my house to cover your mess. We were going to take it. Just let Chris move in, get cozy, claim space, and one day call it his. You were going to bleed me dry. We were desperate. So lie to me, manipulate me. You wouldn't have helped. Not after this. Never again. She started to cry, but I didn't care anymore. That night, I wrote a new will, updated my property records, put everything under lock and password. They wanted a fallback. Now they were cut off. The courthouse was smaller than I imagined. Quiet, sterile, almost boring, considering my entire life was about to be dragged through it. Dana met me out front. She looked sharp, calm, and mildly annoyed. They tried to file another motion this morning. Emergency review. Judge denied it. Let me guess, Chris wanted a delay. Exactly. That's always the move when your case is garbage. We walked in. Chris was already seated. He gave me this smug, fake sad smile like he was the victim. His lawyer looked as slimy as you'd expect from someone who thought verbal ownership claims held weight in court. Then, someone else walked in. I froze. My dad. He took a seat behind Chris, like he belonged there. Like this was his fight. I turned to Dana. Are they calling him? Didn't list him, but they might try to pull him as a character witness. It's risky. Can they do that? If the judge allows it. Let's see how dirty they want to play. The hearing began. Both lawyers stated their cases. Dana laid out the deed, loan history, ownership documents, clean, airtight, undisputed. Chris's lawyer tried to spin family intent, support structure, and verbal understanding, like we were on an episode of Dr. Phil. Then came the witness stunt. Your Honor, we'd like to call Edward, last name, to the stand, the defendant's father. Dana stood immediately. Objection. The witness wasn't disclosed prior to hearing. It violates notice. The judge looked annoyed. Mr. Chris's lawyer, why wasn't this witness disclosed in advance? He only became willing to testify yesterday. Liar. But the judge allowed it. You have 5 minutes. Keep it narrow. My dad took the stand. He looked calm, practiced, and then he opened his mouth. I always thought Anna was independent to a fault. She never let us help her. She always wanted to do everything alone. So you're saying she isolated herself? I'm saying we always assumed we'd take care of each other. Like family does. Did she ever say Chris could live in the house? Not in those words. But she said the guest room was always open to family. Dana scribbled something on a pad and slid it to me. Do you have proof he never contributed? I nodded, pulled out my phone, searched my old email, and found it. An email from my dad, 6 years ago, when I first moved in. Congrats, sweetheart. You really did this all by yourself. Dana smiled. Your Honor, we'd like to submit written communication from the witness directly contradicting his testimony. The judge read it, then glared at my dad. You may step down. My dad walked past me on his way back to the bench. Wouldn't look at me. Good. The judge didn't drag it out. After reviewing the documents, testimonies, and the conveniently forgotten email from my father, she issued a temporary restraining order against Chris and my parents. They were prohibited from entering my property, communicating with me directly, or attempting to interfere with ownership until a formal review hearing. It wasn't a final ruling, but it was a win. I walked out of the courtroom with Dana at my side. She was calm as always. That went well. she said. He's going to be furious. I was still processing when I saw him. Chris, leaning on the concrete railing by the stairs like a villain in a soap opera. He stepped in front of me before I could pass. You think this is over? I didn't stop walking. It's over when the court says it is. And guess what? So far, I'm the only one with a case. You're tearing this family apart over a house. I turned and stared at him. No, Chris. You and Mom and Dad did that. When you decided I was less of a person because I didn't give you grandchildren or let you squat in the one thing I earned. He laughed. Not funny, just bitter. You know they're going to write you out of everything, right? You're going to die alone, Anna. I froze. Dana stopped too. What did you just say? He stepped closer. You heard me. No one's coming for you when you're old. You'll have your house, and nothing else. Something inside me snapped, but I didn't yell, didn't cry. I just looked him dead in the eyes. Better to die alone with a locked door than live surrounded by leeches who call themselves family. He scoffed, tried to say something else, but Dana stepped between us. Walk away, or I'll report this to the judge. You're already close to violating the order. He backed off, but not before throwing one last line over his shoulder. Enjoy that empty house. Let's see if your dogs take care of you when you get cancer. That one hit harder than I wanted to admit, but I didn't flinch. That night, I updated my emergency contacts, made sure my documents had backup storage, and emailed Dana asking about permanent orders of protection. I wasn't afraid of being alone. I was afraid of what they'd try next, because if they couldn't get the house through court, they'd try to take it apart from the outside. 2 weeks passed after the court hearing. Things went quiet, too quiet. No new letters, no knocks on the door, no cryptic voicemails from my mom. For the first time in months, I could breathe. But then little things started happening. My Amazon deliveries got delayed, or it didn't show up at all. Packages I never ordered were arriving under my name. A friend I hadn't spoken to in years messaged me on Instagram. Hey, your mom just posted about you hoarding your house. Are you okay? Hoarding? I hadn't spoken to her since the court hearing. And then came the worst part. A neighbor knocked on my door. Hey, Anna, just wanted to say sorry again for what your aunt said. I didn't know they were going through all that. My aunt. Yeah, she said you're having a breakdown, that the family's trying to step in before something happens. I nearly dropped my coffee. That night, I called Dana. They're escalating, through the court of public opinion. Then someone's feeding them. Someone close. I've only talked to 4 people since this started. You, my uncle, Ryan, and Leah. Leah, my coworker, technically my friend. She'd been supportive, or so I thought. We had lunch twice during this mess, and I told her everything. I never imagined she'd be the weak link. But when I looked at her Instagram that night, I saw something. One of her followers was my cousin. Not one I'd spoken to, but clearly still attached to the same people trying to ruin me. I called her. Hey, what's up? Did you tell anyone in my family what I've been saying? Pause. Anna, don't lie. Did you? I didn't mean to. I just mentioned you were stressed. That you were changing your locks, putting up cameras. Jesus, Leah. They asked how you were. I thought I was helping. You were feeding them ammunition. I didn't think they'd use it against you. Of course you didn't. Because it wasn't your house on the line. Silence. I think we should take some space. You think? I hung up, blocked her number, then deleted every contact I couldn't 100% trust. I wasn't just being paranoid anymore. I was under attack, and not just from courts or siblings, but from the little cracks people slip through when you're not paying attention. I printed out every text, logged every incident, sent Dana a full timeline, and that's when she said something chilling. They might be trying to build a case that you're unstable, that you're not safe to live alone. They weren't just after my house anymore. They were trying to prove I didn't deserve it, that I was tired of being quiet, tired of being picked apart in group chats and backyards and Facebook comment sections by people who'd never worked a day to earn what I had. So I wrote. I sat at my desk, opened Reddit, and typed out everything. The manipulation, the fake legal filings, the lies from my own parents, the pressure to give up my home because I was alone, while my brother, the one who never held a steady job, was treated like a martyr. I didn't name names, didn't dox anyone, but I didn't hold back either. When I hit post, I figured maybe a few people would read it. Maybe someone would relate. Maybe it'd help someone draw a boundary in their own life. I went to bed. When I woke up, 72,000 upvotes. My phone was vibrating nonstop. The comments came fast. This is one of the most insane entitlement stories I've ever read. Girl, protect that house like your life depends on it. Because it does. Your family doesn't deserve to breathe near your mailbox. People share their own stories. People offered legal advice. One user even said they worked in family law and volunteered to review my case for free. But more importantly, I wasn't alone anymore. Strangers were validating something my own parents refused to see. I was right to stand up, right to say no, right to shut the door and change the locks. Then it got messy, eh? Someone from my hometown must have seen the post. Someone who knew who I was, because the next day my mom called. Voicemail only. So now you're airing our dirty laundry to the whole world? You're making us look like monsters. This is slander. We could sue you. I forwarded it straight to Dana. She laughed. They don't have a leg to stand on. Truth isn't defamation. Still, I wasn't stupid. I deleted names, blurred any screenshots that could ID anyone. Let the internet do the rest. Then something unexpected happened. Reporters started reaching out. 2 small blogs. 1 family drama podcast. Even a lifestyle journalist from a major outlet messaged me privately. Would you be willing to share your story? We're doing a piece on inheritance entitlement. You're not the only one, but you said it better than most. I didn't say yes. Not yet. But just knowing they wanted to hear my version, without edits, without guilt trips, made me feel something I hadn't in a long time. Power. That night, I got one last text. From Chris. You want to play dirty? Fine. You just made things worse for yourself. No. I made things clear. The courthouse felt smaller this time. Not because it had changed, but because I had. No more fear. No more guilt. No more wondering if I was doing the right thing. I was. Dana walked beside me like she always had. Cool and steady. They're going to push hard today, she said. Doesn't matter, I said. They already lost the most important thing. What's that? Me. Chris was there. My parents were behind him. No smiles this time. No fake sympathy. They looked like people attending their own funeral. The judge called the room to order. Both sides gave closing arguments. Chris's lawyer tried to focus on family understanding, implied agreement, reasonable accommodation. Dana cut through it like a scalpel, deed ownership, bank records, dated proof of independence. Then came my moment. I didn't have to testify, but I stood up anyway. The judge allowed it. I faced her, not them. For the past year, I've watched people I love try to convince the world that I don't deserve what I've built, that I should give it up, not because they earned it, but because I'm not married, because I don't have kids, because I'm not enough by myself. I worked. I saved. I sacrificed. And they tried to erase that with lies. This wasn't about property. It was about control. And I'm done letting anyone tell me that being alone means being weak. I'm not alone. I'm free. And I won't apologize for that. The room was silent. Even Chris looked down. The judge took 10 minutes. Then returned. This case is dismissed. The property in question is solely owned by the defendant. All claims of co-ownership are rejected. Any future attempts to enter the premises without permission will be considered trespassing. Bang of the gavel. Just like that. It was over. I walked past them on the way out. Chris tried to speak. I didn't stop. My mom called after me. I kept walking. My dad didn't even try. Outside, Dana patted my shoulder. You're bulletproof now. Feels like it. I went home. Sat on my porch with my dogs. Sun setting. Air quiet. And for the first time in months, maybe years, I felt still. I didn't just keep my house. I reclaimed my voice, my peace, my boundaries, and not one of them would ever cross my threshold again. Weeks later, the podcast I turned down ran my story anyway, anonymously. They called it, When Blood Demands What It Never Earned. And the last line, she didn't lose her family. She just found out who wasn't really in it. Damn right I did. See you later.